up to 70% off retail. Don't miss the deals. Don't miss the fun. Come celebrate the grand opening of America's Thrift Stores in Murfreesboro. Visit americasthrift.com/Murfreesboro for all the details.
Hi, I'm Wade Hayes, owner of Toots Good Food and Fun. I strongly believe that volunteers make a positive difference in the quality of life here in our community.
Francella Salas, Redstone Federal Credit Union, is a steady force behind the downtown revival in Murfreesboro. As past chair of Main Street Murfreesboro, Francella's leadership helped shape a more vibrant, connected community. Today, she remains deeply involved, championing local business and cultural growth with heart and vision. Thank you, Francella Salas.
At Toots, we strongly believe that it's important for every one of our citizens to give some of their time and talent back into the community. And we want to honor these individuals with a Toots gift certificate good at any of our Rutherford County locations. 860 Northwest Broad Street, along Church Street in the Barfield area, in Smyrna on Sam Ridley, and Toots West on Franklin Road at Rucker Lane.
We're the Good Neighbor Network, FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, audio and video streaming at wgnsradio.com. This is the Roundtable. A look at the news, views, politics, and people that are shaping Rutherford County.
Good morning on a beautiful Thursday morning. We sure love the fall, don't we? This is Bill Krause, the Thursday morning edition of the WGNS Radio Roundtable. This morning we're going to have some really interesting, and I will also say highly motivational news and shared information. We have two people here who will be talking about two different aspects of the American Red Cross, the Rutherford County chapter, etc. But the first one I want to introduce is a young lady who really does a phenomenal job in whatever she does. She's a chair of the Political Science and Global Policy, I guess I have to say, department at Middle Tennessee State University. Dr. Amy Atchison. Amy, welcome aboard.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
A little bit before we go on to our other guest, Amy, tell the world, because you've been on before, some time ago it's been, about yourself, where you were born, where your journey of what got you ultimately to Murfreesboro and MTSU.
Well, I actually don't have a hometown because I'm an Army brat.
Oh, wow.
So I'm from all over, more than any place else. My dad was a foreign area officer, so I grew up in the Middle East, and then we spent some time in Latin America, and then we came back to the States. And before I came to Middle Tennessee State, I was at a small Lutheran school in Indiana called Valparaiso University. And I've been a Red Cross volunteer for the better part of almost 15 years now.
Wow. Yeah, I think of Red Cross, I think of the military, and I think of donuts. Is that a good analogy?
Yep.
So, Amy, from your 15 years and your current experience, talk about what you're doing and what aspect of the Red Cross you've been committed, passionate, and dedicated to, and what you're doing these days. And then when you're done, we're going to go back to the executive director of the area Red Cross here, a dear friend, a wonderful young man, John Mitchell. But we'll get back to John shortly. It's all yours, Amy.
I do love how you describe both me and John as young. This makes me feel good.
It's all a matter of relativity.
Yes. So part of, I think, what always surprises people about what I do with Red Cross is that, like you said, you kind of think military, but most people, when they think Red Cross, they think blood drives and disaster relief.
Correct.
But what most people don't know is that the Red Cross also, in every country, the Red Cross and Red Crescent has a mandate to educate people about international humanitarian law. Now, your listeners who have connections to the military will know IHL, or international humanitarian law, as the laws of armed conflict or the rules of war. And so because the Red Cross is really how we started to develop the rules of war as an international community, the Red Cross has a mandate to educate people about it. And that is the program that I work on with the Red Cross. Nationally, we do this through a program called the Youth Action Campaign, and the students here at MTSU in my humanitarian aid and crisis class form a team for the Youth Action Campaign, and their job is to educate our campus community about the rules of war. And every year we have a different theme. Last year it was the rules of war in space. The year before it was nuclear weapons. And this year it is about protecting journalists and journalism in war.
Wow. Because what's the statistic? How many journalists just in recent years have been killed in the line of battle, just happened to be at the wrong place at the wrong time?
Yeah, absolutely. It is an international crisis. So this is a great theme this year that has a tremendous amount of relevance. We've seen a lot of journalists killed in conflicts across the world, particularly in the conflicts in Ukraine, in Gaza. So it's really important this year that we get the word out that journalists are not a legitimate target in war. They're meant to be protected, and there are specific international agreements that protect them, including the Geneva Convention.
And at present, what would be some of the highlights besides the legal protection? Are they wearing special outfits that say journalist on the back?
They absolutely do, yes. That's one of the ways that they are meant to help protect themselves is by being visibly marked as press. They also can carry identification that they can present if they are stopped to show that they are journalists, particularly if they're war correspondents who have been granted permission to travel officially with the military. That's pretty important that they have their credentials. So they do need to identify themselves, and that is specifically protected under international law.
And when you're talking journalists, you're not only talking with the person with the mic or on camera, you're talking about the support team that's with them who is carrying the equipment, and you never know who they are, but they become a fatality.
But they do become a fatality, and yes, they are also protected.
Do they go through any type of orientation or training on an average basis before they hit the war front?
Yes. I mean, obviously, especially if they are war correspondents who are officially traveling with the military, like what we might consider an embedded journalist, they have to undergo some orientation. They know the rules, and so do the militaries that they travel with.
How did the Red Cross, and maybe you've been in it with 15 years, how did the Red Cross get into this particular aspect of information sharing and certainly a very, very valuable commitment?
Well, so the first, the International Committee of the Red Cross and Red Crescent, so that's the international organization. That's the one that goes into war zones and does the delivery of humanitarian supplies. They're the ones that go in and visit prisoners of war. So the ICRC was founded by a gentleman named Henri Dunant after the Battle of Solferino, and this was in the 1860s in Europe. And
that far back, wow.
That far back. So about the same time as Clara Barton was working to found the American Red Cross. Anyway, so the ICRC actually became the guardian of international humanitarian law. So as the world decided to adopt these rules about how we treat people in warfare, rules that are designed to protect civilians, that are designed to protect people who can no longer be combatants, so wounded soldiers and shipwrecked sailors, these rules that say, no, you cannot torture prisoners of war. No, you cannot summarily execute prisoners of war. all of those rules get developed and codified as really a result of the International Committee for the Red Cross and Red Crescent's efforts. And so the ICRC is the official repository of IHL, and that's why every Red Cross society in the world, from the American Red Cross to the Egyptian Red Crescent, every Red Cross society in the world has a mandate to educate its population about international humanitarian law.
How does the average, if there's such a word, average student, how does the typical student who's in the class respond? Because this is a whole field that I have to make the comment that probably 99% of the public is truly unaware of. How do the students respond and react when they hear this whole new aspect of protection?
So students who are opting to take my class and become part of this peer education campaign are generally already interested in these kind of issues, and so they respond very, very well. Mm-hmm. The hardest thing is that many of our students across campus have very, very passionate beliefs regarding current conflicts in the war, whether they're pro one side or pro the other side. And so the challenge is that as Red Crossers, we have to be both neutral and impartial.
Sure.
So the Red Cross helps everyone regardless of their role in the conflict. Our job is to help people, not to help one specific group of people. But our job is to be neutral about these conflicts, because if we're taking sides, then we cannot help people, right? And so the challenge for our students is that they have to set aside their personal beliefs so that they can be neutral and impartial. And I have to say they're doing a fantastic job of that. They make fun of me, but they all have picked up my mantra, which is a war crime is a war crime, no matter who commits it.
Absolutely. My final question, and then I'll let you get back to the huge amount of things you are doing, have doing. And I have to take the word out to say I have to compliment you both personally and professionally. I get a tremendous amount of response from MTSU students, and they just think the world of you. But the last question is, crossing over the line in terms of definition, does this also cover terrorism, which may not be an active war, but it's a first cousin of war? Is the Red Cross in a protective of what does, not just the journalists, how do they deal with information related to the terrorism around the world?
So there's all sorts of classifications, but basically anytime there is ongoing armed conflict, the Red Cross is in a position to try to mediate between the two sides to allow humanitarian intervention. The Red Cross has been very involved in trying to get access to, for example, the hostages that were being held in Gaza, but also access to prisoners being held in Israel. So the Red Cross, again, neutral and impartial, right? We're trying to help whomever we can, wherever we can, without trying to name and shame unless that becomes absolutely necessary. But the goal is to make sure that we are protecting as many civilians as possible and allowing people to live with dignity, even in conflict zones.
What a tremendous informative information that you have shared with us, shared with our audience. An aspect of Red Cross that beyond the bell ringers and beyond the emergency floods and hurricanes and earthquakes, it's a whole new area of the Red Cross that I personally, and I've been a strong supporter of the Red Cross for many, many, many years, it was one area that I was not aware of. I want to thank you so much. And I've also got to say publicly, I do have to have you on the air to talk about, from your perspective, the crises in the Ukraine and in the Middle East and so forth, based upon not only your academic experience, but the fact that you lived in the communities. So you will be hearing from me for an invite to have you come back on the Roundtable.
Well, I always appreciate those invitations. We'll see if the schedules align.
We'll work around you. Thank you so much for this information, and keep up the super, super work.
Take care. Thank you.
Bye-bye now. And now we're going to have a word from our sponsor. And then after that, we're going to have the one famous, wonderful young man, I'll say young man again, John Mitchell, who is kind of interesting. I got to say this before. He was introducing himself to somebody off air, and he says, not the John Mitchell who was in Watergate. And I didn't know how many people remembered the Attorney General. I remember his wife, Martha Mitchell, and all what led into the original fall of the Watergate episode. So we'll be right back with John Mitchell, Executive Director of our local American Red Cross.
For 75 years, Murfreesboro Medical Clinic has been a cornerstone of health and compassion in our community. From our humble beginnings to the advanced, comprehensive care we offer today, our commitment to you has never wavered. With 8 locations across Murfreesboro and Middle Tennessee and over 100 physicians, we continue to provide the highest standard of care. Then, now, and always, your health is our mission.
Sign-ups are going on right now for First Shot's Winter Basketball League in Rutherford County. Coach Andy Herzer guides kids to sharpen basketball skills and build teamwork through exciting clinics and games. Since 2003, First Shot has empowered youth to grow in mind, spirit, and body. Don't miss out. Join the fun and develop lifelong skills. Visit firstshottn.org today and register for the Winter Basketball League. That's firstshottn.org.
Insurance should be simple, not complicated. That's why at Rayburn Insurance, Agent Rick Hull cuts through the jargon and helps you understand your options clearly. He's committed to finding the right coverage that fits your unique needs and budget. Their team has been a trusted partner in the community since 1973. Ready to make insurance easy? Get with Rick Hall at Rayburn Insurance Agency. He's ready to help you get the protection you deserve.
Good Neighbor Events is brought to you by Old National Bank, the law offices of John Day, and AmeriCare Pest Control.
In today's changing world, you need a financial planner that you're comfortable with. Rely on the bonds that you've built with trusted friends at Old National Bank on Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard here in the borough. And if you just moved here, visit us and enjoy warm, homemade cookies.
Honey, the cookies are ready.
Like Grandma used to make. Old National Bank. We're better together.
2230 Dr. MLK Jr. Boulevard. Old National Bank, member FDIC.
Let's check those WGNS Good Neighbor events. Practicing yoga helps improve your flexibility and balance, and it builds strength. Yoga is offered by the Murfreesboro Parks and Recreation Department. They have classes at the Patterson Community Center, SportsCom, as well as the St. Clair Senior Center. Call the Murfreesboro Parks and Recreation Department and learn more about their yoga classes. And congratulations to the Rutherford County Farmers Market. All this season, they're celebrating their 50th anniversary, and that continues through the end of this month. Over at the Lane Agri-Park on Tuesday and Friday mornings, 7 until noon. Your Rutherford County Library System is offering free computer classes. That's at the Tech Center. In addition to the free computer classes from the library, you can go to any of the Rutherford County branches and they'll help you with smartphone challenges right there on the spot for free. The Rutherford County Public Library System is there to help you. And remember, the Red Cross is still critically low on blood. Give the gift of life. Those are WGNS Good Neighbor events.
Rutherford weather.
We'll see mostly sunny skies here this afternoon, a high in the low 70s. Tonight, mostly clear, low near 39. By Friday, sunshine, high of 68. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki from the WGNS Rutherford Weather Center. Currently, it's 43.
WGNS is powered by Middle Tennessee Electric. As a member of MTE, you have access to educational resources to help you tailor energy use to your lifestyle. Interested in electric vehicles? MTE offers incentives to learn about EVs and connect with others who share your interest.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at wgnsradio.com.
Welcome back. This is Bill Krause, the Thursday morning edition of the WGNS Radio Roundtable, talking about the events, the activities, the advocates, the leaders, the beauty and the wonderfulness of Rutherford County and its surrounding area. We have this morning with us Mr. John Mitchell. John is the current executive director of our area American Red Cross. I know you've done this before when you've been with us some time ago, John, but kind of give us a litany of your background, born where and where you went to school, and the nonprofits that you directly affected even prior to the Red Cross that have had a lasting impact on the people of this community.
Yeah, thank you for asking me to do that. Bill, I was born and raised in Northwest Indiana, ironically. My dad's from East Kentucky. My mom's from West Tennessee, Buford-Pusser country. She's from that same county that Buford-Pusser came out of. But
great movie.
Ironically, I ended up in between those two where I came. But my dad being from East Kentucky, I ended up coming back there quite a bit, had a strong family foothold, went to school at the University of Cumberland, which is Cumberland University now. But after graduation, I gravitated towards Middle Tennessee, and boy, do I love it. It's been a great move for me ever since. And again, it's just kind of funny how things work. It's almost like that midpoint between West Tennessee and East Kentucky, where my parents are from. So I still get a chance to visit family from time to time.
And you went to school where? In Cumberland, you
said?
Yeah,
University of the Cumberland. So a lot of people confuse that real easily with, the Cumberland in Lebanon. But this is in Williamsburg, Kentucky, University of the Cumberlands.
I would imagine a lot of people would. And what was your first nonprofit affiliation?
Yeah, I cut my teeth, if you will, by getting an opportunity to work for the Boy Scouts of America early on.
Had you been a scout as a young man?
I was a Cub Scout, but not a
Boy
Eagle
Scout.
Yeah, well, of course, not an Eagle Scout because I wasn't a Boy Scout, and I was just looking to get really one of my first career jobs that I could match a business and physical education degree with a company that would kind of install in me some best practices on how you do programming in nonprofit, how do you raise money for nonprofit, how do you cultivate and recruit, reward, and retain volunteers, because the Boy Scouts was one of those organizations that really, really relied on volunteerism, as most do. And that may be my comfort level. I spent approximately 9 years there and went to the Red Cross. No, then I went to MTSU with the Jones College of Business with Dr. Jim Burton, and was able to do some higher education fundraising with them and Joe Bales and others with the MTSU Foundation. Then had an opportunity to go with the American Red Cross. That was an office in Franklin, Tennessee. They were going through some downsizing on a nationwide scale, so they closed that office, and that left me looking for another job, and I wanted to stay home and found an opportunity with the Salvation Army in Murfreesboro, and ended up working there for quite some time. And this opened up for me to come back and be the executive director for the Heart of Tennessee chapter of the Red Cross, and I've been in this position for over 4 years.
How many counties are you covering?
We're back up to 16 counties. There's a web and flow to how that operates. And I'll make a statement on, when I was with the Red Cross and they closed that chapter, it was a tough season for a lot of people. a lot of people would see bricks and mortar and say, oh, this office closed in this county, and there was a lot of hard feelings in different places. But the reality was the Red Cross is and always has been committed to providing financial support, providing hope, but providing as much financial support to those that need it in their greatest time. And I have seen, coming back the second time after they made some tough decisions, to just because you close an office didn't mean you didn't have the services.
Correct.
And so now that we cover 16 counties out of one office right here in Murfreesboro, we are still providing the same services that we've always provided. And there's a few more challenges to it, but one thing I can tell you going back from that time to this time is we operate off of a regional strength. We're the Tennessee region. So we have, employees that are committed. But here's the biggest thing to know about the Red Cross. I'm not the Red Cross. The Red Cross is the community. And that's, proof in the pudding is 90% of everything we do is done by a Red Cross volunteer, like Dr. Amy Atchison. Now, she spoke of things deep within, that program and the ICRC that I'd have to sit there and study and do it, because we have 5 different lines of service that I'll go over shortly. But she's knee deep in it, and she's such a
15 years. That's
15
impressive.
years, and she's a professional. She just does a great job. But that's the key, is when I'm recruiting volunteers, I don't look at them to say, hey, I need you to come in because I'm going to show you what I can do, and then maybe you can do as good. It's most times because they can do it better. Everybody has a certain skill set, and so once we align that skill set and that passion with a volunteer opportunity we have, then we have people like Dr. Atchison out there just doing great work for the Red Cross that I definitely couldn't do. So my job
your knowledge itself is so impressive.
Yeah. As you've seen, I was sitting here taking notes while I was talking with her. And, a great segue is she took it all the way up to the part of 1860. And so realistically, if you want to talk about the American Red Cross, you can see that movement was happening internationally. And the American Red Cross was born on the battlefields of the Civil War with Clara Barton caring for soldiers. That was our first, initiative.
Yes.
And so because, and Clara Barton had to be a very interesting person to be around. In the, late 1800s, females didn't have a platform as big as they do now. But she said, guess what? I am going to have a platform.
Good
and
for
so
her.
she lived in D.C., and she started networking and doing all the things that you do to say, this is a program worth investing in. And she would work Washington, D.C. and the political scene and say, we need this in our country. And we're very fortunate to have had Clara Barton bring the Red Cross, in the I think it was 1865, give or take. But she's the one that brought us to us. So, so it started with Service to Armed Forces. That's one program. The second one is International Services. So you've heard some really good background on both of those. And today, the other 3 is training, which would be like CPR, lifeguard training, blood services, collection of blood. And then the 5th one would be disaster services. So that encompasses the 5 major areas of focus that the Red Cross does.
Speaking of disaster services, I think the last time you and I talked, it was right before when we had the major problem in western North Carolina, eastern Tennessee with the remnants of the hurricane. And you folks were very involved and active, even in the local chapter, as I recall, out in when we had all the flood and great disaster. in both western North Carolina and, of course, along Bristol and eastern Tennessee.
This chapter has had a long history of being a very active chapter. This is the Heart of Tennessee chapter. Now at 16 counties, it goes from Clay County down to Cookeville through Rutherford County all the way down to Franklin and Lincoln counties. That being said, we have so many great volunteers, more than I can mention in 1 hour. But
what I've got to ask you this, and I had been in the nonprofit world for 20 years, and not only fundraising, but recruiting and maintaining a volunteer base. It took me a little while to realize, but what motivates, and there has to be some things that motivate an individual who decides to give time to volunteer for a nonprofit. Would you say that a large majority of volunteers to the American Red Cross have had some personal experience with the Red Cross, either disaster or some other help event that prompted them, or do they just say, well, that's a nice name? Most people have a personal linkage?
Yeah, I would say you're correct that most people do. Two examples would be Sandy Hughes. She was a paralegal at Nissan for many years. She was our volunteer spotlight person at our Heroes event several years back. But she volunteers at a level of commitment that is not seen usually. Bottom line, if you see a national story, whether it's the LA fires, Hawaii, the hurricanes, the flooding, she is there, and she is there as a volunteer, donating her time to give high-level professional guidance on how you run what we call a DRO, or disaster response operation. So she has told us it came from her having a house fire.
Really? And experiencing the response.
Yeah. Then I was just out in Smyrna last weekend, and I'll go ahead and throw this in now. Last weekend, Friday and Saturday, we did a Sound the Alarm, Save a Life in Smyrna. We met with the mayor early on, the fire chief. So, 3 months out. So we planned this big event, and the fire department was with us both days. And through a Sound the Alarm, Save a Life, we do Homes Made Safer presentations in a community. We work in, hand in hand, fire department, volunteers, would knock on doors and provide, fire safety information. We know the weather's an issue, so we provided tornado safety and flooding. And while we're talking to them, we identify if they need smoke alarms. And if they do, we install them on the spot.
Wow.
So one takeaway that I would like everybody to have from this segment is anybody in the state of Tennessee, there's nobody that needs to go without a smoke alarm. Call your local fire department. I'm talking about any county in Tennessee.
The 95 counties.
This is a state fire marshal's program or the American Red Cross. And we have free smoke alarms that we can put up that have a 10-year battery.
Wow.
And so that weekend, that Friday and Saturday, we presented Homes Made Safer materials to 302 people.
Fantastic.
We went to 91 homes and ended up installing 84 alarms in that 2-day span. So once again, we will do those in a big effort, like a Sound the Alarm Save a Life event, but that can happen anytime. So if you need a smoke alarm, just look up, the Red Cross and, redcross.org, and look for fire safety, home fire campaign. Put in your address. We will get notified that, and we'll send a volunteer out to your house to do the same thing.
Well, the volunteer also, you mentioned a 10-year life, but I'm assuming there's a lot of smoke alarms out there where batteries are reaching their expiration. Many people don't know how to change the battery.
Yeah, and we'll go in there, and when we're with the fire department, we'll let them take the lead, but we've got some training as to what to do. If their fire alarms are connected electronically with wires, we don't touch those.
Correct.
We leave that alone. But some people have said, I'm not comfortable with that, and we'll put one right up next to it. So they've got a comfort level that they've got something they can trust that's just been installed. But yeah, we'll do some inspection of existing fire alarms, but to be quite frank with you, our preferred method is to just put up a new smoke alarm to feel comfortable that, we let the homeowner, guide us on the decisions on, how many and, if they want us to install or not. But we do a smaller process of installing old ones, but we really focus on putting new ones in for the ultimate coverage.
I just got a wild thought on that. You got me generated primarily because I closed escrow early this week on an investment rental in Rutherford County. It might be interesting if you want to increase your workload to reach out to the realtors of the 16 county area, and every time they are ready to close sale on a house and you're having the walkthrough inspection to be sure that everything in the house is okay, include on their checkoff list whether they have a smoke detector or not. And the realtor, at least as a service to their client, the realtor, in a sense, will alert, this is a good house, a great gift to have a smoke alarm system put in the house as part of the transfer of sale.
I think you're right, Bill. I used to work with Candy Joyce. I know we've got a new leader at MTAR, and so I do need to look her up. I think I've spoken with them once or twice, but I need to say, hey, what kind of materials, maybe we can provide our flyer. It's as simple as clicking, you put your phone, a QR code, and it takes you right to a site. You sign up, and we get that. So I will look into that. We just would like to make sure every home, has a working smoke alarm. That's our ultimate goal. But you're right; they're going to be the ones that are seeing homes on a regular basis.
And especially as the weather gets colder, as we go into the winter, there are more fires in fireplaces, etc. And I would imagine that house fires become a greater threat as we use our heating and fireplaces that much more. Would you agree with that?
I would. And listening to the fire department, I can say with confidence that the two of the major leading causes that they will promote is candles and unattended stoves where people are cooking.
Wow.
Probably, I don't know where it falls behind that, but a high level of fires end up happening when the weather turns cold. And a lot of times people are putting space heaters out, and that can cause its own risk factor. So yeah, having your due diligence, not using an extension cord with a space heater, and making sure there's nothing around it to catch fire, those are three things that if you want to concentrate to minimize your the opportunity of a house fire happening in your home would be, really paying attention to how you deal with candles, not leaving that stove unattended while things are cooking, and space heaters and how you operate with those.
Can we switch over to blood?
We sure can. We sure can.
Good way for a Thursday morning.
And I tell you what,
Let's talk blood.
I'll leave. But I do want to mention this. You brought up such a great point about people that have had an experience. And one of the dear souls that I was working with, we were walking home to home last weekend. She had an incident where she lost her grandchild, and that motivates her. So she's one of those that when
I don't want to get personal, but was it related to something where the Red Cross would have entered?
I really have never asked her the background. I just know that's a motivating factor for her. So when we talk about doing a fire alarm, a smoke alarm install, and all that, she's right there because it resonates with her.
Wow.
So to your point, now the other thing I'll say is don't disqualify yourself if you don't have that personal experience. We have others that they just get a kind of a feeling in them that they want to do something. They want to help people. And we're that organization that you can turn to because we've got so many different options. We've talked about service armed forces. It could be somebody that opens up the casework to help a soldier get home during an emergency with that family, which usually is a death in the family.
Sure.
It could go into blood, like you're saying, and in blood services, two of our major needs is people to be a biomed ambassador where you sit there and you help check people in at a blood drive. We want those phlebotomists who they are part of that 10%, a lot of those, of course, are paid because they have professional training. But we want them to concentrate on their job, drawing the blood and doing what they do. But we need someone to kind of greet somebody, get them in, and let them know, how to prepare for giving blood. The other one is a biomed ambassador, and what that is, the other one is biomed transport.
Mm-hmm.
So the Red Cross still covers 40% of the nation's blood needs, and by doing that, we operate just like anybody else. But all the blood that's collected in Murfreesboro, Knoxville, that all comes back to a processing operation in Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
So when the blood is collected here in Murfreesboro, a transport driver will take that back. So they go through training and they make sure that they know how to handle that. But if you can imagine us as a nonprofit, how that's, again, helps us keep our budget to the point that we can give to people that need it versus paying for somebody in that instance to do that operation.
I was thinking while you were talking, the amount of television shows that highlight police services, highlight fire services, and the related first responder services. There really could be a need of a series that involve Red Cross as a weekly series. And, you've got, whether it's the crew working on a hurricane emergency, or the crew tracking blood, or the crew tracking, or even as Amy's presentation earlier this program, there would be enough material to create a very interesting TV series.
They would. I don't know what the likelihood of me starring in it would be.
Oh, I think you would be a phenomenal star.
I know that Nashville's just got Nashville 911.
911.
But we do a pretty good job of working with some professionals to tell our story on a individual basis, and we'll get back to blood. But one of the ways that we like to do that is to have a fundraising event that has a big platform. And so March the 12th, we'll be doing our annual Heroes Luncheon,
Mm-hmm.
and it is a fundraiser for the Red Cross. And annually, we end up honoring a local hero. And this year, I'm proud to let everybody know this year's hometown hero is John Floyd with Old South Properties. Not only has John been an economic driver for our community, but he served on a lot of boards. And behind the scenes, he does a lot, and more than most people would know, in helping people after a disaster. I know of some stories in the Reedyville area that people were trying to get back on track. We, of course, are going to help them with some initial assistance, but they're going to need some help in the long run. And John sees his opportunity as a community leader to make sure that he can continue to help them on a long-term process. Some of y'all would be really glad to know one of our members of the board for years, Terry Schneider-Smith, who owns Fast Signs. We're going to honor her as our volunteer spotlight partner.
Mm-hmm.
She's provided a lot of gift in kind over the years. So mark that down, March the 12th at MTSU, the annual Red Cross Heroes Luncheon. But if you want me to, you've got to get in and out of the lanes here, Bill, but I'll get back to blood.
Well, hold on to blood for a moment. We've got a word from one of our sponsors. Got to pay those bills.
Pay the bills.
For 75 years, Murfreesboro Medical Clinic has been a cornerstone of health and compassion in our community. From our humble beginnings to the advanced, comprehensive care we offer today, our commitment to you has never wavered. With 8 locations across Murfreesboro and Middle Tennessee and over 100 physicians, we continue to provide the highest standard of care. Then, now, and always, your health is our mission.
Sign-ups are going on right now for First Shot's Winter Basketball League in Rutherford County. Coach Andy Herzer guides kids to sharpen basketball skills and build teamwork through exciting clinics and games. Since 2003, First Shot has empowered youth to grow in mind, spirit, and body. Don't miss out. Join the fun and develop lifelong skills. Visit firstshottn.org today and register for the Winter Basketball League. That's firstshottn.org.
Well, yeah, I'll be right there.
It takes all of us to power a community, both in plain sight and behind the scenes. Middle Tennessee Electric, bringing good energy.
This is Chip Walters, and I'm honored to be your 2024 MTAR Realtor of the Year. I'm with Exit Realty Bob Lamb & Associates, and like many of you, I've seen the real estate market shift and change. People often ask, Chip, what's really going on? Well, that's a great question, and I believe in answering with solid, factual data. So let's cut through some of the noise. I invite you to reach out. Let's have a conversation about your real estate goals and the current market trends in your neighborhood. You can find all my contact information at choosechip.net.
We're visiting with Jennifer Sanchez, manager of Steered Straight 2 Furniture and Thrift at 1007 Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard.
You're not just walking into just a big warehouse. You're walking into rooms. We've got a media room. We've got a boutique room. We've got a vintage room, a furniture area, kitchen, all that.
Steered Straight 2 Furniture and Thrift.
Every day you go in there, I promise you it's changing.
Steered Straight 2 Furniture and Thrift, 1007 Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. Online at steeredstraightthriftstore.org.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at wgnsradio.com.
Bill Krause, third and final segment of your WGNS Radio Roundtable, Thursday morning edition. Having a wonderful chat with certainly a highly committed individual for the betterment of not only Rutherford County, but 15 other neighboring counties, the American Red Cross, Mr. John Mitchell. John, a dear friend for many years, a colleague, and certainly an inspiration for all of us for doing good. We're talking about blood. That's a good way to enter into a subject.
Yeah, and thank you for those kind words, Bill. A lot of people don't know there's a lot of people working on the tough issues that we have in nonprofit, and you had served your time in leadership working, and I appreciate that. But yeah, hey, listen, we are talking about this is the big thing right now. Next Monday, October 27th, 28th, and 29th, Monday through Wednesday, is the MTSU annual blood drive, or Bleed Blue blood drive, where it's MTSU versus WKU on collecting blood. We have been dominating WKU over the years. In the last few years, WKU did raise more blood than us once, but we need to keep that prestigious accomplishment right here in MTSU, not only for the fun of it and saying, you know, MTSU beat WKU in blood drives, but it's also about saving lives. And it's an incredible event. At one time, they had over 600 units of blood collected.
Phenomenal.
And so it's a great opportunity, not just for the people on campus. They really focus, of course, on campus and students and professors to sign up. Brian knows well about it. Dr. Gloria Bonner years ago helped promote that. Diane Turnham, Chris Massaro, Ray Wiley, who was with the Recreation Department, Charlie Gregory. I mean, many people have poured a lot of time into making this such a great opportunity for us to save a lot of lives by you signing up to give blood at the blood battle that will happen at the rec center, and that will be from 12 to 6. So the best way to do this is to look on the WGNS website or look up redcross.org and redcrossblood.org, and you'll see all the blood donation centers that are operating in that time frame. But choose MTSU, and here's why you might choose MTSU over another open blood drive down the street. This is a great opportunity to get hassle-free parking at MTSU and give blood. So they've reserved a whole lot right across from the rec center that when you park there, no hassle with the parking services. You park in that spot, you walk over about 30 yards to the rec center, you walk in, you give blood, and you
How long does
drive
it
away.
normally take?
You know, I give blood regularly, and I would say it usually takes approximately 25 to 45 minutes,
Okay.
depending on the size and everything that goes. Once you get the blood drawn, that process is definitely, 25 minutes, give or take. That being said, I have done something called Power Red before that does take a little longer, and there is some extra benefits in giving the Power Red process, and that does take probably closer to an hour. But if you're giving regular, just a regular blood drive, you're looking at 40, I would say, 35 to 45 minutes. And again, what I would like to encourage is the outside, all these MTSU alumni. This is a great chance to say, hey, let's carpool from the office. Let's all get online and sign up, and let's all get our times close, and we go over there and we give blood, and then we come back, and we don't have to worry about parking services. So this is how we're going to help make sure we get that blood drive from 400 units collected to 600. We really want to use the excitement. We'll have a great staff there. It'll be in the recreation department, in the gym, and there's a whole list of things. There's pizza, there's gift cards, there's a great MTSU WKU Bleed Blue shirt that's given out every year. Free
It's
parking.
not a red shirt. It's a blue shirt.
No, it's a blue shirt. It's a blue shirt. I wore
not a red shirt of blood.
Yeah, no, it's a MTSU blue shirt. We take pride in that. Of course, the winner will be announced during the MTSU Hilltoppers. For whatever reason, the Blue Raider Hilltopper football game. But do take some time to give blood. It's one of these things that once you do it, if you've never done it before, you'll really feel like you're making an impact. You will get, if you get on our blood donation app, the Red Cross donor app, you will get notifications when it's time for you to give again. You will see a history of where the blood you donated goes to.
Excellent.
And then you'll also track your health history. So I've pulled out my phone before and showed them on the Red Cross app, here's what my blood pressure was. And now we're starting to take the, for diabetes is such an issue, what's your blood count? So there's some extra benefits that really can play out. But again, the number one reason is there's many reasons that people need blood, whether it's, while they're hurt or a surgery,
yep.
Or cancer survivors. Anybody that has that personal story can passionately tell you that by you giving blood, you're making a huge impact. So again, Monday the 27th through Wednesday the 27th, sign up, go to MTSU, bleed blue, give blood, save a life.
12 to 6 p.m.
12 to 6 p.m.
How are you targeting the very rare types of blood donors?
Yeah, sickle cell is an area that we spend a lot of time in what we call the biomed department of the Red Cross, but ethnicity matters. And so for people that are African American and even, the Hispanic communities, they need to give blood knowing that they're helping their own community.
Yes.
Because that ethnicity, there's certain that it pays a higher dividend. I can't give you all the science behind it as well as Gene could. He's our blood account manager. But you basically are helping out your own culture and your own community because the ethnicity that they need to give blood, and sickle cell is such a debilitating disease that when they have to get a lot of blood transfusions to help them out, they need that ethnicity blood to make a greater impact.
And in many cases, little children.
Well, it is, and here's the thing, nobody wants to see a child in pain. And
Right.
from what little bit I know about sickle cell is when they get to the point right before they need that life-saving blood, they're in a lot of pain.
Yes.
And so, if you are thinking of wanting to relieve the efforts of a child and you're African American and you're Hispanic, give blood, because ethnicity matters and you will help somebody in your own community.
Absolutely. Well, do you want to do a wind-up of what is coming? First of all, you've got to give phone number and website, so all of those out in our listening area, do make contact. Reach out to the American Red Cross, your local, really valuable partner in not only disaster, but in terms of making life livable.
Yeah. So I'll start off. It is a company phone, so I encourage anybody to call me if they need a little guidance. You can call myself, John Mitchell, 615-651-3405.
One more time.
615-651-3405. Or, I know it sounds like this is too big scale, but if you go to redcross.org or 1-800-RED-CROSS, once you navigate that system a little bit and you talk about either a home fire or a blood drive or a smoke alarm install, we will get notified locally, and then we will respond locally. So that's one of the best things to remember.
John, you have so much more. I'm going to get back to you and reschedule you for coming back either shortly before the holidays or immediately starting off 2026 with a very optimistic, positive world of the American Red Cross.
Would love to,
You
Bill.
are a resource in this community that's second to none.
Well, I've been blessed to work for some great organizations and have good friends like you and Brian.
John Mitchell, Executive Director, American Red Cross, thank you for joining us. Thank you earlier to Dr. Amy Atchison, the Chair of the Political Science and Global Services at the MTSU, for sharing that aspect of the American Red Cross. Speaking of MTSU, we will see you next week with the president of MTSU, Dr. Sidney McPhee. And we got a lot to talk with Sidney about and get his insights and perceptions. Have a wonderful week. Stay safe, stay happy, and be good.
Subscribe to Big G TV, local content that matters to Rutherford County.